Good evening. My name is Rick Burke, and I currently serve as the Dean of the St. Louis chapter of the American Guild of Organists. And it's my pleasure to welcome you all here this evening and to thank you for being here. And at this time, I would ask Father Jeremy Sechrist to come forward and lead us in an invocation.
Dear friends, let us together pray. God, our Heavenly Father, as we come together this evening, we ask that you attune our minds and our hearts to your divine will, that as we come together this evening, all of our efforts and energies may be according to your will, that we may bring about through our music and our willingness to provide for the beauty that you intend, greater harmony and tranquility and peace in our world. May all of our efforts be for your greater glory and honor. For as always, we make this prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you. And I now call to order our annual chapter meeting for 2021. And how great it is to once again to be able to meet in person. We're not sitting in front of our computer screens looking at one another through the medium of Zoom, but actually in the same space. For that we give thanks. However, for those unable to be here in person or who preferred not to attend in person, this event is being live streamed by the staff of the cathedral via their website. And so for those of you watching via the live stream, if you would like to receive a copy of any of the printed materials from this evening, or if you have questions or comments following this meeting, please feel free to email me at dean@agostlouis.org. That's dean@agostlouis.org. We extend our sincerest thanks to Horst Buchholz and the staff of the Cathedral Basilica for hosting this evening's event. And a special thanks also goes to our guest musicians for this evening, Ben Blasingame on organ, and the Archdiocesan Handbell Ensemble under the direction of Bernal Hackman. Our business meeting this evening will be interspersed with various musical selections. And now I would like to invite our Secretary, Kathy Cassie, to present an overview of the minutes of our 2020 annual meeting, which you will also find a copy of in the packet that you received on your way in.
It is good to see all your smiling faces. I'm not going to read all of it. If there's a question you have a copy of it, as Rick said, in front of you. So last year we met, it was a Zoom meeting. We didn't even get to meet in person last year. So we looked over the minutes, we had the budget. We took a look at the program schedule, but of course, everything was on hold. We had no idea throughout the year what we would be able to do. But we feel that we accomplished a lot, thanks to Zoom and thanks to our technology people. Our registrar's report last year showed that we had 171 paid members at that time last year. Our opus, again, that was put, we were not able to mail it because of not because of postage, but because they couldn't guarantee that they would be able to get it out on time. So Ted Kronbaum did an outstanding job getting it together, putting it online for us. Renee's been working on social media, advertising on it, So we're doing pretty good there. We had one member last year that passed their SPAGO exam, and that was Randy Zirkle, who is our historian. The exam study report, Dawn had 5 people that were interested last year. So we'll be anxious to hear how many we had finished. Our February flourish was a huge success thanks to Dawn and her team. We talked about the election results. We had our Avis Blewett Award winner last year was Dr. Mark Lawson. He received his award over Zoom. So Burnell honored the outgoing executive committee members last year, and Burnell is busy already starting on the 2026 convention. So things are really starting to happen. Our Missouri District Convener, Father Jeremy Seacrest, filled the position, so we're very, very glad to have him. North Central Regional Counselor Karen Black called everybody's attention. There was going to be a special Organfest. So those are basically the minutes, but as I said, they're in front of you in your packets. So are there any questions? Can I have a motion to approve these minutes from 2020 General Chapter? Is that, tell me whose hand that is. Bill, and a second? Can I have a second? Who is, I can't see, there's a light right. JD, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. And now I invite our treasurer, Mike Kaberline, to present an overview of our finances. And again, there is a written report in the packet that you received.
Thank you, Rick. Good evening. As Rick mentioned, the financials are in your packets. Just a quick overview. The account, the bank account balance for the chapter is at $16,222. I do want to point out that during the year, the special reserve account that was comprised of leftover funds from the 2015 regional convention was transferred as seed money to the 2026 convention. So they have a start, but the 16,222 is just the chapters, not part of the convention. You can notice on the statement of income and expenses, we didn't have a lot of expenses last year, obviously, because we didn't have programs. You can see what our membership income was. The February flourish income and expenses were there. We actually made money off the February flourish. And we ended up with more revenue than expenses last year of $4,361. So I'll entertain any questions. You want to move the... Entertain any motions to accept the report? Father Jeremy? Second? Kendra? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. And next, I would invite our registrar, Regina Morris, to present a report on our current membership.
This will be very brief. Currently, we have 143 members that are paid up to date. In the last year, 2020, we had 22 members not renew. We had several pass away and move. And so our current number of members is 143. There are a number of you that your renewal date is coming up in July, so please, if you get an email from National, please be prompt in renewing. The 3-month grace period is no longer for COVID, and so once they'll hold you and our database for 3 months past your due date, and after that, your account is marked canceled. So we hope everybody here will stay for another year. And if you see people around that aren't here that you know used to be AGO members, or you're not sure if they are, just kind of ask them, say, hey, come back. Thank you.
Now, having had a bit of a look at what has happened in our past, most recently, I would like to turn our focus to what will be coming during the coming months and years. And so I, at this time, would ask our sub-dean, Heather Martin Cooper, to come forward and present an outline of the programs being planned for the next program year.
Thank you, Rick, and hello everyone. I'm so happy to see that we're together today. What a year, and what a year we have coming. I want to begin by thanking the program committee. Could not have done this presentation of ideas and programs for next year without their help. Dr. Horst Buchholz, Dr. Stephen Ball, Tim Jansen, Rick Burke has joined us, and Kathy Cassie, and who am I forgetting? I think that's it. So thank you to all of them for their help. Without further ado, we have 7 programs on this piece of paper. The first will be a kickoff to our 110th anniversary year. We don't have a venue solidified yet, but it'll be a presentation. It'll be a banquet and a presentation by Randy Zirkle. Randy has graciously agreed to researching our history, compiling some information and materials. If anyone here has memorabilia or suggestions or ideas, he is open to hearing from you for that presentation. Next, October 10th and 11th, I didn't change the dates, we have a weekend of featuring organ and handbells with a guest artist, Dr. John Banke. The venue for that is Westminster Presbyterian Church. We'll have a concert on Sunday, October 10th in the afternoon, and then the Monday chapter meeting will be a reading session of music for organ and bells. On November 21st, we have rescheduled from this past year a choral evensong in thanksgiving for the Ministry of Musicians. This is at St. Michael and St. George with Rob Lehman as our host. So there'll be a choral evensong at 5 o'clock and a reception for that. We will have our January Epiphany party, at least we have it planned, on Friday, January 7th, and hopefully we'll be able to join in person in close quarters by then. February 12th, we'll have our February Flourish again. And our spring event is a little pending right now. The National AGO is designating July of this year till June of 22 as the year of the young organist. And we'd like to do a program or a series, perhaps, focusing on young organists in our area. So the executive committee has asked to make a plea to the membership for names of current or recent former students that you may have who are under the age of 30 or younger, and how we as a chapter might be able to support and or to celebrate them. And that information will be helpful to the program committee to come up with some ideas for a program or programs celebrating and supporting the young organists. So organists under 30. Finally, for our closing event 1 year from now, May 23rd, we're planning on a boat ride on the Mississippi. So we need to finalize those details, but we'll have our annual meeting then, and hopefully it'll be on the boat. Does anyone have any questions for me? If not, I thank you, and I look forward to greeting you in the garden.
Thank you, Heather, and to your committee. That indeed is exciting, just the fact that we can look forward to doing some more in-person events. So let us continue to pray that things with the pandemic continue to improve and that numbers of cases of infections go down as well as deaths, so that all of us, not just we as the AGO, but all citizens can start to experience more of life in the presence of one another. So Heather has given us a glimpse of what's going to happen in the next 12 to 14 months from now. But looking even farther into the future, I would ask the 2026 National Convention Coordinator Burnell Hackman to share some information on that event.
Thank you, Rick. Good evening. You have a printed report, I believe, in your packet. There's a couple of things that's changed since I printed that report and sent it to Rick because I had a conversation with our counselor for conventions, so there'll be just a couple minor changes. On October 20th, 2020, your executive committee approved a proposal for the St. Louis to host the National Convention in 2026. The proper paperwork was submitted to the Counselor for Conventions, and on May 19, 2020, the National Council unanimously approved our proposal to set the wheels in motion for a national convention here. On January 16, 2020, I was named Convention Coordinator by the National Council. We have put together a quick team of people that will serve as officers of convention, and one name I left off the list there is our volunteer coordinator, Don Risky. The convention will be July 6th through 10th, 2026. And an interesting thing about that, which will put some of our convention around, is the 250th birthday of America. So being so close in July and being our 250th birthday, we will celebrate that, hopefully during the convention. In June, some of the officers of the convention, with the help of a conference director, we toured the only 2 hotels in St. Louis that's large enough to host our convention. That's the Marriott Grand, right across from the Convention Center, and the Hyatt Regency. With the recommendation of the officers of the convention and talking with James Thomas Hauer and what was needed and everything, we recommended that a contract be signed with the Hyatt Regency at the Arch, which was executed on August 26th. So things are in motion. So our convention headquarters will be the Hyatt Regency at the St. Louis Arch. The national office provided a timeline to successfully run a convention, and we're following that. So right now we're at the point during the summer putting together the committees that will run the convention. That's why it's so important that members fill out the member survey that is online, and I have some copies for you tonight if you need one. That really helps us as we pick committee heads and committee members. On the second page, there's a list of the committees that the National is assigned. That doesn't mean we have to stick with it, but we probably will pretty closely because they've done this a number of times and it's always successful. Committees will begin formed this summer. I said early next year, but talking to the counselor, it's going to be this summer. So far, 23 out of 140 members have only filled out the survey, so we really need your input to make it happen. When I talked to James Thomas Hauer when we were planning the thing, I said, what needs to be run right now? And he said, fundraising, fundraising, fundraising. So that effort has begun. All donations, if you give a little bit for the next 5 years, will accumulate to the grand total. So you can give a little bit at a time, especially now that renewals are coming up on card. You could do that option when you're doing your membership renewal to give a nice gift to the chapter, and we're keeping track of them, so at the end they'll add up. It should be interesting to note that we've raised $640 so far, which is pretty good for not really starting yet, but that's a good number, and we appreciate everybody that's given to that. The Kansas City chapter, which was the last convention that was actually held, made over $40,000 for their chapter. The chapter takes on no financial risk with the convention. It's all, the National takes all the risk. We do the planning and the running of the convention with their help, and then at the end we split it, the profits 50-50. In the Houston convention, which was held 2 years before Kansas City, there was a profit of over $240,000. So, I'm sorry, $40,000. The Kansas City chapter 2 years ago raised $40,000 from their membership, and their entire gifts and grants program was $240,000. So we have a ways to go, but we're getting there. This is below our giving levels. The one I want to point out most is the 2026 Club. Anybody in that level and higher will be invited to a very, very special event on July 4th downtown. I can't go into any more details of that, but please consider giving to that level. You can make payments on OnCard anytime. The good thing about using OnCard is we get the 100% of the money. The national office absorbs the credit card fee, so that helps. Or Mike's always happy to accept a check. If you have any questions or you want to talk to me after we have the reception outside, please do so. We're working very hard behind the scenes, and it's kind of time to take this more public, and we will be contacting you and getting things going. Our next big goal is to come up with a convention theme. In Seattle, in 2 years, their convention theme is a well-tempered future. So we have to come up with something equally catchy as that. If you have any questions, there's my email and my cell phone number. I would love to talk to you, as 2026 seems like a long, long ways away, but it's time to think about it. We're about a year behind in planning, so we need to get going. So if you have any questions, I'll be outside afterwards and you can talk to me then. Thank you.
Thank you, Burnell. Our regional counselor, Karen Black, was not able to be with us this evening due to a work conflict, but I did receive an email from her late this afternoon, and she sent some greetings which she asked me to share with you, so I will read that at this point in time. This is Karen speaking. I am sorry that I cannot be with you in person for your meeting tonight. I have enjoyed my visits to your chapter for February Flourish and the POE in 2019. I know that your chapter is very active and has managed to keep supporting organists and church musicians even during these most difficult times. I know it has not been easy, so I applaud your officers and chapter for all you are doing. I would just highlight a couple of things coming up. While we originally planned to be gathering in the Twin Cities this summer for our regional convention, we will instead celebrate Organfest 2021. Some of you perhaps attended this all-virtual event last year, and the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. The dates are June 27th through July 2nd, starting at 7 p.m. Central each night. Our regional meeting will be held during this week. I do not know which night, probably Thursday, and I encourage you to attend. Also, the AGO has designated next year as the Year of the Young Organist, as Heather alluded to. Starting July 1st of this year, AGO membership will be free for 1 year to anyone under the age of 30, whether that's a renewal, a lapsed membership, or a new membership. So please encourage anyone you know in that age group to join us. All the best, and I hope to see you soon. Karen Black, Regional Counselor. As we move to the installation of officers, I would first like to thank this year's nominating committee for their excellent work. The members of that committee were comprised of J.D. Brooks, Suzanne Manelli, and Lisa Kripe. We thank them for their service. The results of the election were as follows. Gay Anderson was elected for a 2-year term as secretary. Mike Kaberlein was elected for another 2-year term as treasurer. And for the class of 2024, 3 persons were elected, those being Dr. Sarah Bariza, Dr. Kirsten Santos-Rushman, and Gerald Griffin. In addition to those elected, I have appointed Catherine Kit Lamar to fill the remaining term of Gay Anderson in the class of 2023, who now moves into the position of secretary. Sarah and Kirsten are out of town this evening, but have accepted their election to the executive committee and have expressed to me their eagerness to serve. I also was notified this afternoon that Kit Lamar was also unable to attend this evening, but has also agreed to serve in the appointment that I have made. So now I invite the Missouri District Convener, Father Jeremy Seacrest, to install our newly elected officers and executive committee members.
The St. Louis chapter of the American Guild of Organists presents for installation the following duly elected officers and board members. As I call your name, you're invited to please stand. If you are not with us and observing from your home in front of your computer, you can still remain seated. Gay Anderson, Secretary. Mike Kaberlein, Treasurer. Sarah Bariza. Kristen Santos-Rushman. Joe Griffin. And Kate Lamar. Kindly please remain standing. You have been chosen by your colleagues to guide this chapter during the coming year. This selection shows confidence in your wisdom, character, creativity, and leadership. At the heart of the formation and continuing life of the American Guild of Organists is its mission: to enrich lives through organ and choral music. To achieve this, we encourage excellence in the performance of organ and choral music. We inspire, educate, and offer certification for organists and choral directors and conductors. We provide networking, fellowship, and mutual support. We nurture future generations of organists. We promote the organ in its historic and evolving roles. We engage wider audiences with organ and choral music. And so to these officers and board members, I address you. As elected officials of the St. Louis chapter, I ask you to keep the mission of the American Guild of Organists in mind as you carry out your function of your offices. Officers, do you accept the challenges and responsibilities of the office to which you have been elected and agree to work with your fellow officers and members in an atmosphere of mutual respect toward the common goals and continued health and growth of the St. Louis chapter and the American Guild of Organists? If so, please heartily respond, I do. And for those at home, I think we heard you as well. Now, to all of the general membership, I ask you, members, do you accept the responsibility to support these officers whom you have elected in the work they are about to undertake on your behalf? If so, please heartily respond, we do. We do. With these expressions of mutual respect and support, it is now my privilege to install you as the officers and board members of the St. Louis chapter. Congratulations.
Welcome to you all. I and the other current members of the Executive Committee look forward to working with you. And as these newly elected persons step forward to serve, I want to acknowledge and thank those whose terms of service have now been completed, or at least will be as of June 30th. If you are present, please step forward as I call your names. First, the outgoing class of 2021, Bob Chamberlain, Martha Schaefer, and Tim Jansen. I see that Martha is here. If you would come forward, I do have a certificate to give you. That's fine. Also, because she is moving into the role of secretary, Gay Anderson is fulfilling stepping away from her role as executive committee member for the class of 2023. So Gay, I have a certificate for you as well. And at this time, I'd like to ask Kathy Cassie to come forward. I'm not sure that a single piece of paper could really hold all of the thanks that I at least would like to bestow upon Kathy. This simply states that she is finishing a current one-year term as secretary, which was actually completing a term I had started 2 years ago, but then moved to the role of dean, and she willingly accepted the appointment to fulfill the rest of that term. But as we all know, Kathy has served not only as secretary, but in other positions on and off for many years, and has given so much to our chapter. I know as when I stepped into the role as secretary, she was so helpful in helping me move into that role, sharing with all that of her experience in that position. And in this past year serving as dean, she has been an indispensable source of knowledge. She can answer almost any question I have off the top of her head, and if she can't, she knows exactly where to find the answer. And I'm sure other recent deans will agree with me that she has certainly been an indispensable part of our chapter. And as I say, it's serving in many, many ways. So Kathy, we indeed thank you. I wish it was more than a piece of paper, but know that you're much appreciated. And finally, Ted Conval, who has served the last couple of years as our Opus editor, recently, earlier this year, relocated to Iowa and therefore has resigned from the position as the editor, effective in the next month or so when I finally really let him step away. But we are in need of someone to take over that position. If you feel so moved to step into that or know of someone, I am certainly open to suggestions and to volunteers. Ted has certainly done a wonderful job, and particularly this past year where it moved to being an online publication, has really excelled in the work he has done, and we will miss his involvement in that. So once again, I ask you to join me in thanking all of these folks for their service. And now I invite Dr. Kathy Boldewan to come forward to lead us in a time of remembrance for the chapter members and friends who have died in the past 2 years.
We remember those who are no longer with us, and because we did not have a meeting last year, I will be reading the names of those who have died within the last 2 years. In 2019, we lost Marie Kramer, Maxine McCormick, and Monsignor Nicholas Schneider, who was a great friend to not only the Guild, but also oversaw the installation of pipe organs in parishes where he was the pastor. In 2020, Ruth Ayers passed, Ed Wallace, William Memmott, Nancy Barbie in 2021, and we also lost Sarah Bryan Miller in 2020, who was also a great friend of the organ and a great promoter of the organ. So we remember all these who moved among us but are no longer with us.
And now it is time to present the Avis Blewett Award. I would first like to thank the Avis Blewett Award Selection Committee, which consisted this year of Mark Schultz, Chair, Kathy Boldwan, and Bill Aitken, thanking them for their work. The Avis Blewett Award was established in 1986 in celebration of the 75th anniversary of the American Guild of Organists in Missouri. The award is presented by the St. Louis chapter of the American Guild of Organists to those who have made a significant contribution to the musical life of the St. Louis area. Avis H. Blewett was a member of Second Baptist Church, whose musical tradition was long and proud. The church had a fine tracker action Odell organ, and Ms. Blewett had occasionally played it as far back as 1883, when the instrument was just 4 years old. In response to a call for a suitable organ to replace the non-functioning Kilgan instrument in Graham Chapel at Washington University, Ms. Blewett signed a contract with the M.P. Moeller Organ Company for a chapel instrument, requesting that the organ case be carved with the quotation, "to make undying music in the world." Avis Blewett died in 1946 before that organ was completed. But in her will, she bequeathed money for the purchase of what is now Blueitt Hall on the campus of Washington University, as well as funds for the endowment of a Department of Music at Washington University. Following in the tradition of Avis Blewett in promoting the art of music in the St. Louis area, this evening we once again are proud to present this award in her name. And I now invite Kathy Boldwan to come forward once again to introduce this year's recipient of the award.
This year's award from the Avis Blewett Award is going to go to Scott Schoonover, who, as I hope you all know, is the artistic director and the conductor of the Union Avenue Opera Company. Scott came to St. Louis in 1994 as a recent graduate of Illinois Wesleyan University. And he came to be the director, the music director of Union Avenue Christian Church. Scott had majored in piano in college, but he also loved working with singers and had a desire to start an opera company, and the church was very open to this. In the first year that they presented an opera, 17 people auditioned for the first opera to sing in the first opera, which was Dido and Aeneas. And the orchestra was a string quartet. Well, if any of you have ever gone to any of the Union Avenue productions, you know that that is no longer the case. This town is so supportive of opera, and it just seems that we can't get enough of it. And Scott has certainly given us much to love and appreciate. Now, Union Avenue has presented well over 60 productions, and when they audition singers, now they get over 400 who apply to audition. Scott is also the artistic director and the conductor of the Missouri Women's Chorus, which he also founded. And in addition to what he does at Union Avenue, he has also been guest conductor in many regional opera companies. He has been a clinician in several choruses in the St. Louis area. And he also still serves as the music director of the Union Avenue Christian Church, where they also installed a new organ several years ago. He has taken the chancel choir on tours to Europe, and there is going to be opera this summer So, Scott, congratulations.
Scott, I would invite you to come forward. It is my honor and privilege as the Dean of the St. Louis chapter of the American Guild of Organists to present you with this plaque commemorating you as this year's winner of the Avis Blewett Award. And just a little personal side note, he was also the organist at our wedding. I thank all of you for your presence here this evening, as well as for your continued support of and involvement in the St. Louis chapter of the American Guild of Organists. Following the adjournment of this meeting, you are asked to remain seated for our final musical selection, after which you are invited to a reception in the garden to the west of the building through the doors to my right, which I believe is the door that most of you entered. There being no further business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. I believe Mark Schultz. Is there a second? We'll do Heather on the second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And before the last musical selection, let's go ahead and give another round of applause to our musicians for this evening.